Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. Apologies for the sound today. I'm not at home. I'm actually outside somewhere, but there is a huge echo, so apologies in advance. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Welcome everyone, welcome. Appreciate everyone joining, and we got a packed show for you today. Every single day there's major news articles happening. I just do not have the time of the day to cover everything. It's so hard, guys, it's so hard. Anyway, let's carry on with the show. So Sunak has been in an annual gathering, and all they were talking about was Ukraine. And before I talk about what was discussed in this gathering, I want to show you this article first of all. Sunak says Ukraine will join NATO in a warning to Russia. Have you ever heard anything more ridiculous in your whole life? I mean, who is Sunak to tell which country to join NATO? I mean, is he the leader of NATO? Is he the president of the United States? You know, Britain has no clue. He has no significance in the world anymore. Who is Rishi Sunak to tell which country to join NATO? I mean, this guy is living in a cloud cuckoo land. It just shows how much outside reality this guy is living in. I mean, come on, he's got no common sense. First of all, for a new country to join NATO, you need all of the countries to agree by it. I mean, look what's happening with Finland and Sweden, and Turkey is obviously blocking them coming into NATO. And imagine other countries trying to block Ukraine coming in. They don't want a war-driven country to join NATO, then start World War III. I mean, is he mad? Is he crazy? Yeah, so Ukraine joins NATO, and let's get everyone ready for a war with Russia. Let's start a nuclear war. I mean, come on. This guy's an obvious idiot. So a lot of things were discussed in this annual gathering. And Rishi Sunak was basically saying, let's all double down on Ukraine. However, you know, what is he going to double down with? The UK has said they can't give any more tanks, they can't give any more planes, they can't give any more money. So what does he expect to do? And let me show you something. This, you can see here, Ukrainian refugees in UK are facing homelessness as Homes for Ukraine placements end. So this Homes for Ukraine placement only lasted for 6 months, and the government has decided not to prolong it. So all of these Ukrainians who have been living in these homes in UK are now finding themselves homeless because the government is not paying for the hosts to keep the Ukrainians in anymore. So they're all basically homeless. They're all basically the council is trying to provide them with house and shelter, and sometimes if the hosts are kind enough, they'll provide a home for them for free. But no one's going to give them free rent, free place to stay. I mean, the UK is having huge economic issues. Every man and woman for themselves in the UK. They haven't got time to give away charity. So basically, Rishi Sunak is saying to double down, but how is he going to double down? How does he want everyone else to double down when there's a huge economic crisis going on in the world? I mean, again, this guy's living in cloud cuckoo land. Germany takes the lead on tanks. Well, not really. Germany promised around 100 tanks or so, and they also said they will allow other countries to release their tanks. But I think the total number came up to around 19 or something when they promised around 100. I mean, what is 19 tanks going to do in a battle with Russia? So first of all, tanks are pretty much useless in Ukraine, because anybody with common sense knows that if you are taking control of the skies, right, then you can protect your tanks. But if you have no control of your skies, your tanks are basically sitting there waiting to be blown up. Does Ukraine have control of the sky? Obviously not. Russia does. Russian planes are flying around. Russian missiles are flying around. Ukraine does not have control of the sky. So these tanks are going to be pretty much useless target practice for Russian missiles and Russian helicopters and airplanes. I mean, come on. Anyone with common sense will know that. Macron balks at regime change. So what I found funny was Macron doesn't want regime change, but you can see here, he has continued to provide Kiev's forces with progressively heavier weapons, including infantry vehicles and artillery guns. I mean, talk about, two-faced. So he's obviously trying to cozy up to Russia, but behind Russia's back, he's obviously sending missiles to Kiev as well. So nobody really trusts him. So Stoltenberg offers hope of NATO membership. So this is what Stoltenberg says. Ukraine can join NATO, woohoo! But only if it prevails as a sovereign independent state. Only if it prevails. So he's saying that Ukraine can join NATO only if it wins. I mean, come on. What are the chances of Ukraine winning? What are the chances? Probably zero, I would say. Absolute zero. I mean, there's Western papers coming out saying that Ukraine is in danger of losing if it doesn't have any weapons. And a lot of papers from the United States even are coming out saying Ukraine is losing Bakhmut, Ukraine is in danger of losing the war and stuff like that. I'll show you some articles later, guys. I think this one. No, I'll show you guys later. So I mean, stuff when he says stuff like that, it's just impossible. So Blinken met with Wang Yi in this conference as well, and again, all fireworks and sparks blew up, and Blinken was accusing China of spying on US and basically it didn't go down too well, and Wang Yi was basically telling Blinken he's overreacting and stuff like that. So this meeting didn't go very well. Apparently there was a lot of fireworks and sparks. Blinken is not very liked in China ever since his days when he started having a go at China in the Alaskan meeting, and he's an obvious neocon who hates China, and there's no love lost, to be honest. China doesn't really care. So I'm going to talk about Blinken in a little while. So my main focus on today, I was going to talk about this Ukrainian refugees staying in UK who are homeless and stuff. And there is a documentary, basically. And this documentary was showing how Ukrainians were getting used to life in UK. And I am absolutely shocked. I'm absolutely shocked by watching this documentary, because most of these Ukrainians coming to UK are absolutely racist. They are so racist. And this documentary proves it. And I just can't believe this stuff. I mean, this documentary is out there, but, no media is picking up on how racist these Ukrainians are. So I'm going to show you quickly. So check this out.
I think we hadn't necessarily taken into consideration the cultural differences.
But those cultural differences weren't often talked about when Andrea signed up to the Homes for Ukraine scheme. She lives in a diverse part of Birmingham. After a week of staying there, her guest told her there were too many Muslims in the area.
Did you hear that? Apparently the Ukrainian side are complaining there were too many Muslims in the area. I mean, come on. Do you see how racist these Ukrainians are when they come to UK? And how privileged they are. They want to live in a white area. They don't want to be around Muslims, apparently. I mean, come on. I can't believe people are not picking up on this. It's clear racism. And these people are coming into UK with their Azov style mentality and polluting the lives of young kids and stuff like that. So you're just bringing in racism to the country. And there's over 160,000 Ukrainians have come to UK, and most of them are basically homeless, looking for homes. I'm not making this number up. This is basically coming out of this article here. And you can see the latest figures show 161,000 refugees in the UK on visa schemes following the Russian invasion of the country a year ago. 161,400. That's a lot. And you've got to provide housing for them. Obviously, most of them are not going to be working, so they're going to be on benefits from the UK. I mean, talk about, what's the point of leaving Brexit when you're going to bring in more immigrants? And, not only do you have to pay them money as well, but they're also going to be a huge issue on the NHS, doctors as well. So you have more people going to the doctors, going to the NHS. It just puts a huge strain on the system. I just don't understand how UK can cope with this much refugees coming in. It's not just from Ukraine, but people are coming in via boats. There's a lot of people who are coming in as visitors and they go missing. There's people also coming in from Syria, from Turkey, Afghanistan, you name it, even Hong Kong. There's loads of Hong Kongers coming in here as well. But again, how does Britain systems cope? They can't cope. The reason most people voted for Brexit was to cut down on all the immigrants and immigration. But since then, immigration has soared. It's probably gone up by about 10 times or tenfold. Absolutely crazy. When the EU got together last week, they also discussed about seizing all Russian assets, about 300 billions worth. And they were going to put all of that money towards reconstruction of Ukraine. But we all know where that money is really going to go. It's not really going to Ukraine. It's going to be going into their own pockets, mainly money laundering and what have you not. So Moscow has basically warned the EU over seizing those assets. So here's my thoughts about this. First of all, these assets, you got to keep them as leverage. So when there's a future peace deal, for example, and as part of the peace deal, they can say, okay, look, we'll, if you stop, we'll return all of your Russian assets, etc. But if you spend it all, then Russia has no reason to stop the war. They can carry on. They'll be like, you know what, you've taken our money anyway. We're just going to carry on. We're not going to get that money back, so we might as well, get as much land as we can from Ukraine. We are on the ascendancy. So unless you give that money back, we're not going to stop. So they can do that. Secondly, this puts a really bad precedence over EU's trust. And it shows that other countries, and China is looking as well, and other countries are not going to trust the EU anymore. If the EU basically seizes these Russian assets and spends it, no country is going to buy EU bonds, no country is going to invest in the EU, no country is going to, hold any money in the EU, because they know that their money is not going to be safe. EU can grab it at any point and spend it. So big countries like China, like the like parts of the Middle East, also parts of Asia, they're just not going to trust EU anymore. They know the EU is just a vessel state for the US. So if they do this, all trust will be broken. So what did Russia say about this? And you can see Russia, they are not messing around. EU nations had invested heavily in Russia, meaning a significant amount of European-owned assets remain in the country. Their value is larger than that of the Russian assets seized by the foreign nations, spokeswoman argued. So basically she's saying that if the EU dares to seize Russian assets, there are assets, European assets in Russia itself, which are probably worth more than what they are seizing, more than 300 billion. And they will seize each and every penny to get that money back. And end of the day, if that's how they want to play this game, that's how Russia will play. And their sanctions have not worked. And even Joseph Borrell came out the other day and admitted that, the sanctions they've placed on Russia so far have not worked. And he was saying also, these sanctions are like a slow burner. Over time, they might work. They might, you got to give them time. But he's asking for time. But look at the Europeans. You just got to look at the European economy. Does the European economy have time? The UK's economy pretty much gone to shit. The German economy is on its way down as well. The rest of the EU is going to be going down as well. So have they really got time? And are they going to sit there and watch their own, economies burn? And obviously these sanctions have really hit EU big time, because the cost of energy, have gone up by 7 to 10, times even. I mean, the cost of buying LNG from United States, which is 7 to 10 times more expensive. Then you got to pay for the cost of, travel all the way from United States to Europe. And with the cost of fuel so high, that's going to be adding more costs. Then they have to build the infrastructure. They're going to have to build more LNG tankers. They're going to have to build more LNG terminals. All of that takes money, and all of that takes time. It was much easier just to, get cheap gas from Russia. It was much cheaper and easier. I mean, why go through all of these lengths just to destroy your economy? Makes no sense whatsoever. I want to show you this article as well. So you can see Europe has spent 800 billion euros on energy, and this is to shield households and companies from the soaring energy cost, which has climbed to nearly 800 billion euros, researchers said on Monday, urging countries to be more targeted in their spending to tackle the energy crisis. And this was released on February 13. So you can imagine 800 billion euros the Europeans are spending to tackle this energy crisis since they started sanctioning themselves. And guess who's going to foot the bill eventually? If they're going to be spending all of this money, printing money, even borrowing money, end of the day, it's all going to come down to the European citizens who have to pay it back by more taxes, or their kids will have to pay it back. I mean, this is not money that the government has. This is all borrowed money. And this is all happened in 1 year. But this year, it's going to get even worse, because what they are saying that, last winter it was pretty mild, and their gas reserves were able to kind of handle the winter situation. However, this winter is going to be even more tougher. They haven't factored in, the issues of saving for this winter. So they may have got past last winter, but this winter is going to be the real killer. And 800 billion euros in 1 year, it's obviously going to go higher this year. So you can pretty much double this figure. So 1,600, billion euros. We're talking about 1.6 trillion, and could be even higher. Who knows? If the energy prices go up, if the oil prices go up, if the economy does worse, if the dollar even goes up and the euro goes down. That price is going to be higher, because if the dollar goes up, which is going up right now, then the cost of buying LNG from United States is going to get higher, right? So things are not looking good for the EU at all, and it's going to get much, much worse, guys, much worse. So I'm coming up to the idiot of the day today. And the idiot of the day, again, has to be this lady, Annalena Baerbock. And she just can't stop opening her mouth and saying stupid, ridiculous stuff. And recently she said, Putin must turn 360 degrees, says the German foreign minister. So anybody who isn't stupid, who does have a bit of common sense, she probably means 180 degrees, because if you turn 360 degrees, you're basically facing the same way you faced previously. if you face 180 degrees, then you're facing the opposite direction of what you were facing. So 360 degrees means you just do a full circle and just keep on going the way you came. So obviously this lady, she probably meant 180 degrees, but the fact is, she's a foreign minister. She keeps saying stupid stuff. A couple of weeks ago, she was saying, oh, we're at war with Russia. And then, stupid things that keep coming out of her mouth again and again and again. She also insulted the Africans as well, started calling them, she basically insinuating they're all animals over there and they're all uneducated. They're all uneducated and they're, basically they have a bunch of animals running around in Africa. Nobody does any work over there. And that's what she was insinuating. And it's just really ridiculous. Every time she opens her mouth, something stupid comes out. This woman needs to they need to get rid of her. Same way as the British got rid of Liz Truss, because the same way stupid things were coming out of her mouth at the time as well. But the British people did not have any of it. They just wanted her out and they got her out. Same way the Germans, I think, need to get this woman out as well. She is causing a huge embarrassment to the Germans. So that's it for me today, guys. Hope to see you again soon. Sorry for the sound. I'm actually not at home today, so I'm trying to make a video while I can. There's a lot of echo where I am, so apologies for that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care for now.